ABC White Bay with Wayne Shearman. Trudy Lego as well from the Bundaberg Multiplex Centre. It is Options Day today and the options are yours. The doors are open through until 1:30 this afternoon. Around about 70 exhibitors, if not more, I think. And it's all yours. Just behind us, by the way, with the time at 11:15. That was a classic from John Fogerty. And don't you wish it was true? John Fogerty, great artist, wonderful man, responsible, of course, for so many hits, either as solo or with a band called Kooten's Clearwater Revival. Don't you wish it were true? I'm not really sure that everybody remembers the music of Kooten's Clearwater Revival. I'm joined by one of the ambassadors. In fact, I'm joined by two ambassadors for Options Day. One of them, though, is wearing the headphones. So young Monique would have heard a little bit of John Fogerty just then. Do you remember John Fogerty, Kooten's Clearwater Revival?
I can't say that I have.
Okie dokie. That's kind of the way it is
but
sometimes.
That's unfortunate.
It is. We'll put it on part of your steep learning curve, if you like. We'll have to tell you more about Kooten's Clearwater Revival one of these days. But we are joined by Monique and also young Hayden as well. And you're both, I gather, ambassadors for Options Day, if not more. That right?
Yes, that is true.
So how did you, Hayden, become an ambassador for today?
Well, I achieved a great thing by being accepted into two universities, and then I was approached by the Working Party for Options Day and asked whether I wanted to be an ambassador, to which I said yes. So, yeah.
Okay, now you, wonderful young gentleman, and Monique, gorgeous young lady, and I say that because you both have something in common, and that is you both have Asperger's, correct?
Yes.
So, but... And this is where the similarity absolutely completely ends, because you're chalk and cheese.
Yeah, it's a very big difference. So it's like two sides of the same coin, but they're very different.
So tell me your story as much as you would, please, Hayden, about you and living with Asperger's. When was it recognised, diagnosed? What does it mean to you and your daily life?
I was diagnosed at the age of 7 because I was excelling at everywhere everywhere at school except for the social part, which I still am not really good at today, but I've gotten better because I've learned to accept my disability. It's something that I live with now. I can talk to people, I can do what I want, when I used to not be able to do any of that.
And now, of course, you're talking on the wireless to a person you've never met before, and this is absolutely wonderful. And there's everybody with cameras and things like that and phones all around you. So leaps and bounds, my young friend.
Yes, it has been. It's quite a big opportunity and big steps. So, yeah, I did a speech today, which was something I never thought I'd be able to do.
We'll have to talk a little bit more. I want to catch up, though, and we'll talk more about social skills as a young person in a moment. Monique, same story or completely different story for you?
It was a little bit different. So at a very young age, I had issues verbally communicating. So I couldn't actually speak until the age of 5, which was very late in development. And the reason that I am able to talk today was thanks to occupational therapists and doctors helping me along with my journey. Again, like other people with autism, I still have issues with social skills and repetitive behaviours. So I have a bit of OCD. But I don't let these challenges really define who I am as a person.
So, question for both of you. Once a problem, and I'm using very simplistic words only because that's the way I sometimes communicate and understand myself. Once these problems have been diagnosed, does it make it easier? You can sort of target on something and go, okay, this is the way I behave because, and now I can work on that?
Yes, it is in a way. So, yeah, it does help you know what you can do to help get along with what your disability is. So, yeah.
And it's also nice to know that there's other people like you with the same diagnosis. So your challenges can be defined by something. It's not just like she just can't talk. It's an actual mental illness and disability.
I've got to ask, the cheeky side comes out of me. Have you made up for not talking from an older age? Have you made up for that these days, Monique?
Yeah, I'm a social butterfly a bit now.
There you go. I was going to ask, because you reminded me as well just a moment ago too, Hayden, about social skills. And as a young teenager, boy or girl, social skills can be so awkward because these days you've got the other social pressures, and I guess I don't need to highlight those with social media and the rest of it that impact on you more so than perhaps previous generations?
Yes, it does, because it's more easily accessible, and it does help a little bit, but it can also hinder a bit. It hindered me a little bit by being less social in person and more social online.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with that. Again, this is kind of my OCD component coming in, but I used to I still kind of get obsessed with, likes and making sure I have, all the comments. So it can actually make you less social media, in real life, because you're spending all this time making sure that your social media accounts and profile's perfect, but you're not actually socializing with people.
So that's the other side of it all then. So there are downsides, upsides.
Yeah, definitely. The upside of social media is that you can have written communication, so you don't have to talk verbally. You can just type out what you want to say. But I guess the downside is it can be a bit like an addiction almost.
Do you have to say to people, do you have to explain to anybody in your life, people that are new to your life, do you have to explain to people that you do have Asperger's, or does the subject not come up?
It comes up sometimes, but that's usually with people who know what a person with Asperger's acts like. To most people who don't know what it is, it's just like, hey, they're a bit different, they're a bit quirky, they do something different to I would, like I butter my toast first, or I butter my toast last.
Now, hang on, now you got me very curious. Why, is there a right way and a wrong way of buttering toast?
There is no right or wrong way to buttering toast.
What about scones? When it comes to scones, are you a jam and cream person as well? I've got to know about this, Hayden.
Butter, jam, and cream.
In what order?
Butter, then jam, and then the cream on the other slice.
Monique?
Are we talking about scones?
Yeah,
or
yeah.
telling people that...
No, scones to start with.
I'm a bit weird. I like to put the cream on first and then the jam on top.
Yeah, that's weird. That's just crazy, because that makes the jam go everywhere.
But that's the beauty of it. It goes everywhere.
And I happen to also think that that's one of the wonderful things about you two people, especially, is we're sitting here now having a chuckle about which way we have our... scones, something I shouldn't be eating at all, when in actual fact maybe a few years ago, of course, you guys would have been as shy as.
Yeah, that is true. It was only recently this year that I got over my big step of socialization. Last year I wouldn't ever do any of my speeches for class or any of that sort of stuff because I didn't like it.
So you're starting to make up, just like Monique has, when it comes to having a chat, you're making up for what were a lack of social skills.
Yes, that is true.
All right, Hayden, the future for your good self, after being an ambassador for Options Day, but years down the track, do you have your future planned?
Yes, I do. I didn't have it until recently, but I went to visit universities down in Brisbane, and I got accepted into both the ones that I visited. So yeah, I'm going to university next year.
Okay, and targeting what subject?
Sound and audio production.
Okay, well, stop looking at my gear. I don't always make a big mess of things over here, but, well, congratulations on that as well. Monique, same thing for you, if I can ask, and it was interesting, as Hayden just pointed out then, that he had a slight change, perhaps, in his future plans. What about your future plans, and have they changed over the last few years?
Well, ever since I could pronounce the word architect, I've wanted to do it. So it's been pretty ingrained that I was like, I'm going to go to uni, I'm going to do this. And I feel, however, in saying that, in my final year of high school, I did have a bit of a rough patch. I got really badly bullied and I lost a lot of people that I thought were my friends. Again, I think this may have chucked up to my social skills not being the best, but then when I heard Becky speak at Options Day, it was like, oh my gosh, I can still achieve this goal I've always wanted to do, even if I have a disability, because there's that support available to people. So yeah, I've always wanted to be an architect. It's just Options Day last year kind of helped me see that. So currently I'm having a gap year. I work at Southern Cross Support Services, which helps people with disabilities, and I'm a safety trainee. And next year I'm going to go to Queensland University in Brisbane and study a Bachelor of Architecture.
Okay. The bullying bit stood out there as well, and that's probably what, jealousy from your friends or something like that, the old tall poppy syndrome, something like that, or not true friends. I mean, that sounds very sad.
Yeah, it was very sad. I think for me, I didn't really have what some people would say like warning signs. I couldn't really tell when someone didn't like me until it got so bad. Like, I think in that sense, that's where my social skills didn't really kick in, because I couldn't recognise when people didn't like me.
It's a little bit reminiscent, and I hope I'm not too far off track, but Dear Sheldon on Big Bang Theory, you remind me then a little bit of that characteristic?
I think Sheldon probably isn't like me, in the sense that girls and boys that have autism act very differently. So after I could speak, I began to mimic people. So people didn't actually think I had a disability because I would just copy what they would say and do. When I think with boys, it's a bit more obvious, like in Sheldon's case, because instead of mimicking, they have these more, I want to say, regimented behaviours and speech patterns, when girls with autism tend to mimic what other girls and boys say.
Okay.
So it's actually, I think, a bit harder to tell just the way girls talk with autism versus boys if a girl's autistic, if that makes sense.
It does.
I guess it's harder to detect in that sense. Actually, the guy that, coined the term Asperger's syndrome didn't actually think it could occur in girls. It's only a recent idea that autism can actually occur in females. And I think that's why it's not easily as diagnosed, I guess. Sorry, does that answer your question?
It does beautifully, and you weren't making fun of my silly sort of comparison, and I thank you for that. I was just trying to think of, I understand some of his reactions on the television program of not picking up those signals, but can I point out, and I'm sure Hayden would be in agreement here, that girls are just different. It doesn't matter where you are on the spectrum. Girls are very complicated creatures.
Yes, definitely. And I think, again, everyone with autism is different. It's a spectrum. You meet one person with autism, you can't say you met them all, you know?
Yeah, you've only met one person with autism. You meet one person with autism, you met one person with autism. It's not the same as meeting another person. It's completely different.
It's like saying all boys are the same or all girls are the same. It's a spectrum. Everyone's different, and that's just beautiful.
On the spectrum, can I point out, both of you have been fantastic. Congratulations again on being the ambassadors, and thank you for being part of ABC White Bay this morning.
That is fine. It's an honour to be on here.
Yeah, thank you for having